Welcome back. We apologize for starting a little late. It was important for us to wait for our guest because we've been trying to get her to be on this show. And she's here with us. She's running for the position of Senator in Nairobi County, Bishop Margaret Wanjiru.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure and an honor to have you here, ma'am.
Thank you.
You know my colleague will take it. Let's start with why. Because initially it was about governor, and of course there were issues. There were opportunities for you to do something else. Tell us why.
Why? Because I have a vision that needs to be fulfilled in Nairobi. And the only two positions that will get that vision fulfilled was either governor or senator. So when governor didn't work out for obvious reasons, then I went for senator.
Do you talk about that obvious? I mean, to maybe not be obvious. Was it fair?
I would be shocked if you don't ask.
Obviously.
No, it wasn't fair.
Yeah.
If we are asking whether what happened was fair, no, it wasn't fair. It was not justifiable. It's not the kind of thing that you would like to do to people. It's only that probably some of us are a bit more strong spiritually. That God, if one door shuts, God opens another door. Otherwise, if it was somebody else, someone would have walked out of politics and say bye-bye and never turn back. Yeah, but for me, God came through. When we went for the nominations, the party primaries, and people found out my name was not on the list. What people did on the governor's paper, ballot paper, they wrote my name. Others wrote my the kind of names they call me Mama Nakazi. Others wrote Margaret Wanjiru. Others wrote BMW, which simply means Bishop Margaret Wanjiru.
Yes.
Others wrote Bishi, and they just left it like that. So by the end of the day, the party realized, yeah, we have a problem, and we'll have to work it out in a way that Bishop Margaret is on the ballot paper. It is the people. God used the people to save me.
When do you say it wasn't fair?
It wasn't fair because, first of all, the matters of degrees and any academic documentation is not dealt with by parties. It is dealt with by IEBC. Surprisingly, when I went to return my papers for senator, they didn't ask me for diplomas or certificates. They asked me for my degrees, and I submitted. The same ones, I submitted. It wasn't fair also because I'm not the one who wrote to CHE to ask for my documents to be checked or whatever they did. I'm not sure what they did or whatever they did. I'm not the one who wrote. Ordinarily, I should have the one who would have written, but much more later. But I'm not the one who wrote. So it was a job that was done by my enemies, a job that was done out of malice, and a job that was done because I had been requested severally to step down from the position of governorship, and I had refused. So if you ask me to step down and I'm refusing, and instead I'm campaigning, and by the time they did what they did, I had
Who was asking you to step down?
Several people, powerful people, several people, powerful people. So by the time they did what they did, I had already hit like 80–85% of Nairobi's support. So for me, I was at the peak. And they realized we cannot beat Bishop Margaret on the ballot paper. So the easiest way, let her name not be there. But they should have left me to sort out my documents with CHE by myself, not somebody doing it out of malice. That notwithstanding, the initial argument was that my degrees are theological.
Yes.
Which I said, so what? I mean, they can be agricultural. Yes. They can be agricultural, they can be what? Medicine, whatever. It's a degree.
But they are genuine degrees?
Genuine, 100% genuine. My degrees are genuine. My doctorate is genuine. My degrees are genuine. Not only that, there is a certificate, they said it's not genuine, which I did in Harvard University in 2010. And it was actually paid by the government. It is a course sponsored by government as Assistant Minister for Housing. I did it in 2010 at the Harvard University. They rubbished that certificate. They rubbished my Form 4 documents. They rubbished everything. And they simply said she's uneducated. Never mind. Anyway, that notwithstanding, what the IBC law says, the IBC law says that CHE is supposed to authenticate or equate. Actually, there is the word and or, which means either.
Either or, yes.
So if they did not do one, they should have done the other. This time, they did not do either. So they just said, we don't recognize them. They are not even asked to recognize. They are asked to verify, are they genuine or not? Something that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs did through our ambassador in Washington, D.C. I personally wrote to the ambassador You know, when people say so many things, you might also start asking yourself, okay, I've not been to college, I've not been to this particular school, especially for my doctorate. For the last 2 years, I've not seen the dean. We have communicated, I know they're there, but could something have happened that they disappeared overnight? After one of the newspapers published a small farmhouse saying that is the school. So I wrote to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and said, hey, can you check out these schools and these degrees? And I submitted the documents.
Did you physically go there or you did correspondent?
I did. In the earlier years, my degrees are not of yesterday. My doctorate is of 2003. It's only these small ones like Harvard that is of 2010.
Yes.
The other ones are very old. They are not of yesterday. So anyway, I wrote to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and they wrote back. And they said, Bishop Margaret, we have checked your schools. They exist. They are operating. We have spoken to the dean. This is the information they gave us. But still, CHE overlooked that. National Elections Board overlooked that. So why from governor to senator? I had a vision when I was vying for governorship. And I still will fulfill that vision as I vie for senator.
Powerful.
Yes.
Powerful.
Don't you think, people are asking, and you have been asked this before, wasn't it unfair to the person who was campaigning when you were governor? There was somebody else who was campaigning.
Yes, there was.
Wasn't it, don't you feel it's unfair to her?
It took the party decision, the party leadership, to sit down and talk to both of us. And first of all, when they spoke to me, the first thing I said is, speak to Elizabeth. If she's okay with that arrangement, fine. But then I also said, you cannot ask her to leave this position. And she was not alone. It was Elizabeth and Ruben Doro. So speak to both of them. But surprisingly, in the ballot, there was no ballot paper for senator. And there was no ballot paper for woman rep. And there was no Margaret Wanjiru's name on the governor's ballot paper. So this is not something that was organized overnight. This is something that has been ongoing for long. It's some of us who did not know. So anyway, that notwithstanding, both who were vying for senator, they were communicated to. I do believe they sat down with the prime minister or any other person in the high hierarchy of the party, and they agreed that that's the best way to go.
But you know, she was very bitter.
She was very bitter there.
Yeah, she was very bitter. And I do agree. Even me, she called me. And she was very bitter when she called me. And when I called her back, then I told her, how would you want us to handle this? And I said to the party leadership, you cannot leave Elizabeth out. So in the nomination list, she must be number one. Although she's not number one, she's number two on the nomination list. And that, to us, if we can try and make something good out of a bad situation, the real truth is, number one, this seat we will win. Number two, we're going to end up 2 senators.
Yes. In
parliament, representing Nairobi. That is stronger than one person. So it will all work out for our good eventually. And finally, I'll still accomplish my vision for Nairobi.
I want us to get into whether you're able to be senator
or
shortly.
not.
No, yeah, you know.
Am I senator material or not?
I'm just interested because so the two of you sat and agreed. But what about your supporters? What about the people who felt very strongly that you were unfairly treated? I mean, they probably weren't able to come with you to the boardroom and hear the discussions with the hierarchies in the party, but they must be very disappointed in this whole nomination process. If you're guided by your voters, what are they saying about the party ODM?
Nairobi, when it was clear Bishop Margaret's name will not be in the nomination paper, Nairobi gave us what I would call a protest vote. People stayed away from voting. They said, Bishop is out, we are out. So the turnout for the voters that day was very low. Anybody can tell you that. There were no huge queues. There were no, I mean, it was not exciting. The joy was gone. The hope was gone. So that alone, that protest, that silence was not a joke. It was setting a message. We may not burn the tires. We may not block the roads. We may not throw stones. But we are unhappy with the way things have been handled here. And the few that turned out, as I said earlier, they just wrote my name on the ballot paper. So eventually, when the message was clear to the party, we have a problem here and the voters will protest against us as a party, as a court government. What do? When my name was now put as senator, the joy came back. Nairobi was revived. People were so happy. Right now, I'm enjoying a good problem. It's a good problem. I can hardly walk anywhere.
That's a good problem.
It's a good problem. People are happy. They are like, okay, we may not have gotten governor, but we are happy just to have you as our senator. And they do feel whatever we were supposed to do as governor, we will accomplish it as senator. So for me, fulfilling the desires, the aspirations, the hopes of the people, that's my calling. That's my work.
Let's talk about Article 43 of the Constitution. It talks about the right to housing.
Yes.
You are, I think, still as Assistant Minister
of Housing.
Tell us about what you did to ensure that this right to the people of Kenya is given as Assistant Minister of Housing. Yes.
There are two things we have done, but the same two things must be completed at the county level. You see, if we leave the matter of housing at the national level, we will never fulfill the aspirations of the people of, let me talk about Nairobi,
yes.
of Nairobi where housing is concerned. So there are two things we have done as Ministry of Housing, and these two things must be carried forward to the county governments.
And specifically done by Bishop Margaret.
Yes,
yes.
Number one, we must understand we have several needs, several categories of housings that we must do. One is what we call slum upgrading. We must eradicate the slums and build houses that are decent and affordable. Affordable, I would say so cheap, like we did in Kibera. Kibera, though one of my opponents is going around spreading rumors that are neither here and neither there. You know, when people talk without having the right information, they look like they are running a bit weird. But anyway, here, Kibera, we built houses for sampling. The first decanting site we did was as a sample. And we managed to build those houses so cheaply that we are able to give them out for rental for 1,000 bob. 500 shillings for rent and 500 shillings for utilities, electricity and water. For me, if that can be duplicated, which the county governments must duplicate, like in Nairobi, if we duplicate that in all our slums, within the 5 years, the first 5 years that we have, before we go asking for votes after the 5 years, we could be able to eradicate all the slums. If you are paying only 1,000 shillings, it's habitable, you have water, you have electricity, you have security, you have playground for the children. If you have your car, you have a parking area. What am I saying? Why should you be paying 2,500 for a carton house or for a mabati house that is falling apart? Everybody would run for the good houses. And that is the way to eradicate slums. It is called social housing. If we do social housing, slums will be gone. Secondly, there is a reason why people do not develop the land they are seated on. Some people, it's not that they don't have the money. Some have the money. There are some land we have here in Kibera owned by some communities, and they have the money. Give them a chance to develop that land, they will. But why aren't they developing it? They don't have the title deeds. Neither do they have certificates. They do not have what we call security of tenure. Right now, we are working with the World Bank, and we are coming up with a program where anybody that owns land and all what is remaining is the planning, the subdivision, make sure that they have their title deeds that will be processed by government, and now they can have their documents. Once Kenyans have their legal right, their legal document, this land is mine. Hata kama ni banki watakopa pesa. They'll go looking for money to make sure that place is developed. So people are willing to build, but we need to give them security of tenure. And with the same breath, then we have the category of civil servants. Civil servants would go from teachers, disciplinary forces, that's the police. If you see how our police live, really, as much as we demand they must deliver, but we also must look at the accommodation and other facilities that they need. Then we go to all the civil servants, all the workers of government. They need good housings, like the ones we did in Gara just the other day. The Gara project is purely civil servants, and it works two ways. One, they can rent, and two, they can buy. The interest on the loans that they get from the civil servant scheme is very cheap. It's 5% interest. So with a 5% interest, you can be able to work your way around it and buy this house while it's still available. Then finally, we have houses for the public, for the middle class, or for anybody who can afford. That is National Housing Corporation. Nobody should lie to you that NHC is a slum upgrading program. It's not. NHC is for the ready buyer, ready seller. Whoever is ready, we are selling. Do you want to buy? 20% deposit, you pay and you buy. Anybody can buy from NHC.
But you know the National Housing Corporation?
Yes.
And the corruption involved there. In fact, there was a time they removed the top management.
Yes.
And your name was there, part of the people.
My name was there because I bought 2 houses. But somebody lied that I bought 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody in the media.
Anyway.
Somebody lied that I bought 3, but I didn't buy 3.
So
our church bought 1 house. I bought 1 house, and I have no house in Madaraka Estate. So the person who was writing that report maliciously was highlighting how I have a house in Madaraka Estate. I have no house in Madaraka Estate, but that does not mean I cannot buy one if it's available and if I have the money. If I had the money and it's available, I would not back off from buying one. NHC is ready buyer, ready seller.
No corruption.
But this no. The problem was...
those
yes,
meant for civil servants? Or what?
No. NHC, civil servants is a different scheme on its own. It's called civil servant scheme.
I see.
So
these houses are not meant for civil servants?
No, they are meant for Kenyans.
I see.
Anybody, Jimmy, you want a house? You find it in the newspaper when they are advertised, you apply. If you qualify, you have your deposit ready, 20%, you pay, you buy the house. People who are overseas, they also buy through NHC. They can trust government with their money more than they can trust individuals. So they buy through National Housing Corporation.
So what is the problem? What was the problem?
The problem was that, yes, I do agree we had some staff who had allocated themselves more houses.
20 houses.
Yes. When you allocate yourself too many, then it's a problem. However, on the other hand, there was also no law forbidding them from buying those houses. Legally speaking, there was no law stopping them from buying those houses. So what we are doing right now, we are working through the policies of NHC so that we come up with the new laws that can safeguard. How many houses can a staff buy? How many houses can an outsider buy? How many houses can a company buy? How many houses can a particular individual buy? That's what we are working out right now. But at that time, there was no law stopping anybody from buying whatever number of houses they could have bought.
Let me take you back to, you said, opportunities for estates or people to have playgrounds and so on.
Yes.
You remember you were also adversely mentioned in a case pertaining to, I think it was Wanjiru Market. And then there was the issue also of some playground.
We have 3
in
cases.
Yes.
Yeah, we have 3 cases in Starehe that we have been dealing with land. 3, I would say, difficult situations.
In fact, you were adversely mentioned also in those 2
but we have maneuvered very well. The first one is the Grogon one. The Grogon one with the mechanics. The mechanics are still there. They are still operating. I've stood my foot and I've said they are not moving until, as we have worked out with Jamia Mosque, we have reached a stage where as Jamia Mosque is providing an alternative. So I've said until Jamia Mosque provides that alternative, the legalities are put into place, a title D is provided. I think now they are at the stage of doing the documentation. Once that is done, then that is a different case. In the meantime, the mechanics at Grogon must continue operating. From the time I started having a car, Grogon has been there for years. But we do also understand, yes, it is not their land.
Yes.
But give us an alternative. As the former area MP, give me an alternative where I'll take my people. If you give me an alternative, I'll let you have your land. It's as simple as that.
Is that Jamia, the Jamia Mosque, is that their
yes, it is owned by Jamia.
Is that their prerogative though? I mean,
there has never been any dispute whose land is this. We know the land is owned by Jamia. I know. And we do sit round table with the leaders of Jamia Mosque.
Shouldn't it be Ministry of Housing then who should have that alternative, not Jamia? We should say, okay, Ministry of Housing, yes, Jamia, this is your property.
No.
These guys
what
are
we want to do, don't forget.
I'm the assistant minister, let me move them.
No, don't forget. As the Ministry of Housing, we don't have the money to buy land for my guys, for my mechanics. But we can get funding, or Jamia Mosque can find funding to buy land.
Is it their business? Is it their responsibility?
We agree.
They are squatters. Your mechanics are squatters.
I agree.
It is not the business of Jamia Mosque
they are squatters,
to find the alternative land.
They are squatters, but they are
It is the business of the government.
They are also, don't forget, worshippers. Some of them come to my church, others go to Jamia Mosque.
To get the church to buy them land.
No.
We must find a place.
It is the business of the government to find out where. Not the business of Jamia Mosque.
I agree with you.
Because they're squatters. Jamia Mosque is hard. In fact, they should be collecting revenue
from them. As much as I agree with you, but the way we worked it out with Jamia Mosque, they were kind enough to say, Bishop Margaret, how do you want us to deal with this matter? And I said, if we do ABCD, we will solve the problem. And they have worked with me. They have agreed with me. We have never disagreed. We have never fought. Apparently, right now, we are almost at the final stages. And look at this. Out of such a situation, those mechanics will end up with a title deed and with their land. And I now can get money to build for them the sheds. So me, I believe that out of every bad situation, try to make something good out of it. And that is life. That is at least what I have. I never stop at the bad results. I look at how do we make this good. And I must thank God for the Jamia Mosque leaders. They have worked with me so closely. We go through documents, we give them to the lawyers, they pass them. I believe probably today or tomorrow we are having another meeting to do the final touches. So for me, it is such a beautiful thing, and it will be in public. Once it is done, this is not going to be handing over behind the scene. It will be handing over in the public. So once it is finalized, it's a good thing. However,
there's another
now we look, yes, there is another one, Morero.
Yes. Morero
is still there.
People say you sold it.
No. Apparently, Morero was sold far before I became MP. Even the one at Juja Estate, it was sold far before I became MP. 2002, I was nowhere being close to being MP.
True.
I mean, I must have been busy supporting some NAC government, I think, or something. I was nowhere near myself becoming MP.
Okay.
So I can tell you that these two other ones, Morelo and Juja Estate was sold before I became MP. And I have held it for so long until we started building a CDF social hall. And somebody showed up. As it is, I have a court order. I cannot even step there. Now, there are 3 pieces of land on Juja Estate. There is the playground, then there is a nursery school, and there is a church.
Yes.
Now, all those 3 are in dispute. You will never know who owns what. And me, the way I've concluded with the Juja Estate is that I have told the chairman, whoever leads the estate, 2 things he can do. Number 1, go to court, which I think they have gone to court. And I've given them the details. Number 2, wait for the National Land Commission, which is able to sit down and sort out who owns this land, who owns that, who owns that.
Nice.
The playground is more of a straightforward case because it's a playground. Now, the school and the church, that will have to be sorted out who owns what. And surely the much I have done for them, I've protected that land until recently when I got the court order. There is nothing more I can do. Personally. Absolutely. And also, Wananchi, that's why sometimes we say, from a leadership perspective, how Nairobi is right now, until we legalize some of these procedures, if we don't legalize how people end up getting title deeds, how people end up going to construct, saying this place is mine, if we don't have some legal structure in place that says, have you followed this procedure, I can tell you, we'll never stop throwing stones.
You should talk to your colleague.
We'll never stop throwing stones because sometimes there are no laws that are protecting the common Mwananchi. If there are no laws protecting the common Mwananchi, then you'll have to find a way of getting it done. Now, Morero, the beauty about Morero is that Morero is still there. And I do believe the county government coming in can restore Morero to the public.
So what
Morero is still there. It has been fenced, but nothing has been done. No construction work goes on. And I remember when we were fighting over it. And remember, it was given out before I ever became MP. But when we were fighting over it, I remember the wind came. I was just standing there. God has a way of doing things. I said, no, nothing will ever be built here in Jesus' name. And that moment, the wind came and blew off all the iron sheets. So nothing has been built in Morero. And I believe that the county government has the right to restore that to the public.
So let me ask you.
Yes, I must mention, Jimmy,
yes.
We had over 400 million shillings set aside to build Morero Market as the Ministry of Housing, and that can still be done. Once we have the land back, the Ministry of Housing will honor the commitment that we had over Morero, and we can build the market that we wanted to build.
So what will your focus be looking at your responsibilities in Article 96 in terms of what the senator must do?
Yes.
Or the Senate must do?
Yes.
So what exactly will your focus be? Because you seem very profound in terms of
the needs of the people. Yeah.
What sort of bills will you push for the county of Nairobi?
Very good. Section 96 of our constitution states very clearly that the role of the senator is, number 1, to give oversight. You are the manager.
Yes.
You are the one who oversees. Number 2, you are the bridge that goes to the county government and comes to the national government.
Right.
You are the bridge that goes to the county government and brings the bills to parliament. You are the bridge that must carry this back and forth from all the other leadership to the county government. But also, you are the person who makes sure that the people at the grassroots feel the impact of the devolved government. Yes. You know, if we don't watch over that, we might say we have devolution, but the people at the grassroots don't feel it. So it's our responsibility as senators to make sure that they feel the impact of the devolved government. How do we do that? You get involved in the planning. When the county governments are planning, you get involved with the governor and the county reps. You sit with them, you are planning together. So you are saying, we are building 10 markets, I don't know how many health centers, blah, 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 blah. So you develop the vision together. You have agreed. Then you work on the budget together. Then now you're on your own.
Yes.
You take the budget and take it to Parliament. Once it is passed, you make sure Treasury releases the money to the county government. And when the money comes, now you play the oversight role. You come and oversee those projects make sure they are done. And they are done properly. So that we don't end up with white elephants and we don't end up with substandard services, substandard projects given to the people, and we implement them together, with the county government.
Let's talk about your politics. There was a time you under causal relationship with Maina Njenga, with Mungiki people. I think when they came from prison.
What did you call it?
Some good relationship.
Oh, okay.
Good relationship.
Okay.
So when Maina Njenga came from prison, he brought all his people to your church.
Yes.
To Flante.
Yes.
Now, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Now Maina Njenga is a senatorial candidate.
No, he's not.
What is he?
No, he's not.
He came here and said he wanted to be a senator.
Yeah, he said he was. We've been interviewed.
We interviewed him.
I think that was before the returning of the papers.
Yes.
I do not think he returned the documents. I'm not sure. I've not spoken to him this week, but I don't think he returned the documents. If he did, I'm not sure.
So what then is the relationship between you and Mungiki people and Maina Njenga?
First of all, me and the young men and women, the youth, if you walk around with me, you never hear somebody calling me Margaret, Wanjiru, or whatever. They call me Mama. I am a mother unto many. And that role of a mother is what made me welcome them when they came out of prison, when Maina Njenga came out of prison. When he was in prison, I used to go and pray for him. I prayed for Maina Njenga. I'm the one who led him to the Lord. I'm the one who stood with him until God saw him out of prison. So for praying, I pray for him. And for being friends, we are still friends. We are not enemies. But I don't think he returned his papers for senatorship. And to those very many young men and women, you know, some of them are so young, they're even teenagers. I am a mother unto them, and I do believe that in the next county government, we should be able to come up with legislation. Can I talk about my vision a bit while we are still there? Because it touches on that.
Yes.
One of the reasons that we have so many hawkers on the streets, we have the disorganized matatu industry. We have so many border being harassed by city council every day. We have the buses, the trucks, the lorry transport people have no stages to operate from, have no parking areas to operate from. The reason why this Juakali sector is so disorganized is because there is no specific law. There is no what we call fair trading laws that can create equity amongst our people. There is no fair playing field. You find that anybody who can afford more than $500,000 can find themselves a space to buy a shop, give some goodwill, trade, do their business. But anybody who cannot even afford 10 or 20,000 have no market to operate from, has no, anybody with their matatu which they're still paying their loans, they have no stages to operate from. The border people, even here in Tomboya, they're being harassed, Tomboya Street, they're being harassed every day by City Council. What am I saying? My number one bill in Parliament will be to make sure that we legalize fair trade. We make sure there is a level playing field, that the hawker on the street is guaranteed by this government that you have a space to operate from without being harassed. We build enough markets by law. Let us stop saying it. Let us stop saying mwende mweke gari zenyu pale mfanyange biashara. There must be a document that says this is your legal area of operating, so that tomorrow you don't have some police coming to harass these people. We need to grow the Juakari sector. We need to move them from the level where they are to the level where they want to be. These people have dreams, they have visions, but the government does not facilitate. Instead, we harass them day and night. As they make their money, they know that half of it will end up with the city council askaris. You understand? So for me, there must be a legal system, a legal way that the Juakali sector, the matatu industrial, the bus industrial, the border, the hawkers can be organized, markets can be built, and they are given for free. I build modern markets. I build modern kiosks. I don't sell them. You'll never find me selling a modern kiosk to anybody. I give them for free. Why? If you're selling them, what are you saying? You will never close the gap between the poor and the rich, because only the rich will afford that 300,000. Only the rich will afford that $500,000. What happens to the poor guy who needs that kiosk and cannot even afford 10,000? Me, I give them a kiosk free, and I give them that 10,000 for their capital. They go and work. That's why they call me Mama Nakazi.
Question here from one of our viewers, and we welcome them. I know we're running out of time, so I'll just read one of them. And Mudui from Buruburu is saying, Bishop, whereas I appreciate your sentiments and your passion for young people, isn't that the wrong way to deal with the mechanics? It means that you have a certain disrespect to the law. How would you take it if I camped at your house until you find me an alternative? And how do you expect you to make fair and just law as senator?
Very good. We go back to Grogon.
Yeah.
So which law applies here? It is also legal and constitutional that once you have been on a piece of land for over 12 years.
It's called advanced occupation.
Yes,
advanced occupation.
It is yours. So which law are we talking about here?
Yes.
I mean, I'm an educated woman. I understand the laws. There is nobody who obeys laws in this Nairobi than me. That's why I don't throw stones. That's why I don't fight. I deal with things legally. But for me, I can tell you that the Grogon case, the way it has ended is beautiful. That Jamia agreed to get a plot just nearby there. I think it's 1-point-something acre. Process the title deed, and they are charging me with the responsibility of paying the stamp duty. I'm not sure if I have the money or not, but between me and the mechanics will look for the money. So they're providing the land. The mechanics and myself, we are playing our role. I've also been charged with the responsibility of building the shades for those mechanics, something I will do either in this time or in the next government. So that must be done at some point. So for me, the Grogon case, if we were to go with which law, everybody has the law protecting them, both parties. The only thing we can do is amicably agree on something by ourselves.
We need to wind up.
And,
sorry, yes.
Your son is running?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. K1, it's called K1.
Madare is the former Starehe. Starehe was divided into two.
Yes.
Into Madare and Starehe. Now the people okay, I have a problem in Starehe. And I'm meeting my people this very week or this coming week. The problem in Starehe is that they want to know whom am I giving them as an MP. And they demand. And they are telling me...
Who are you giving them?
Yes, as an MP. Bishop Margaret, you've been good to us. So who is taking your place? Because me, I don't harass their businesses. Me, I educate their children. Me, I am a good leader. So they are saying, who is next? Now, the Madare people played smarter. So what they did is that they decided when if Mama comes back as MP, she'll go to Starehe side when the boundaries were divided. If she goes higher, she'll either go governor or senator or something. So what do? Let's catch the son. They actually came for my son. And between themselves and my son, they have worked together for about 2 years. I have never campaigned for my son. They come to my office because we share the same building. And I greet them and I say, mnataka kuniona hapana, tumekuja kuona mheshimiwa wetu. As far as they are concerned, he is their MP. Now me as a mother, I decided I have no business spoiling this beautiful relationship between the electorate and my son. The fact that he's my son does not give me a right to say, no, you can't have him as your MP. And since they work so well and they love him, he loves them. One day I asked him, okay, why did you choose Madare instead of Starehe? He says, Starehe, there is no much work. Madara is where you work in the slums. You transform people's life and you see that transformation. So he chose the more difficult area. He chose the area where people are more poorer. And I think he just got that from me. There must be some genes that he inherited from the mother.
I really want you to talk about drugs because you spoke about it one time when I think you visited a certain slum and you were almost in tears. So talk about that because I know that's also one of the things that you want to do.
Alcohol and drugs is destroying our young people. And for me, I would think, and now we have another third problem, but this one is because of lack of food. Our young people, when they spend the whole day without eating, the next thing they will do, because they don't have the food, they will chew miraa for the whole day. I have nothing against them chewing their miraa, but you cannot chew for the whole day. So it's a third problem. I'm not sure anybody has the same observation that I have, but it's something that needs to be curbed. It needs to be dealt with. Our young people needs mentorship. That's why we must be very careful who becomes senator. They don't need to be led the wrong way. They need mentorship. They need to be guided. They need to be shown the way. You will agree with me, Jimmy, you are a young person. young people are energetic. So if that energy is not positively driven towards some direction, that energy will be negatively driven. And that's how we have ended up with so much crime. So from me, we must curb the drugs, the alcohol, and anything else that is coming to sort of like render our young men and women become useless. You know, they become hobbies. They're just there. No, they're doing nothing important. And that hopelessness must be dealt with. I'm also a bit careful, and I'm saying this to all our leaders, both in CORD government, in CORD, CORD coalition and the Jubilee coalition. We must be very careful, even other coalitions, we must be very careful the promises we are making. Let us not overpromise. Let us not give such promises that we raise the hopes of the people very high and then we don't deliver. Whatever you open your mouth to say, I will do, make sure you do it. Because this time around, the level of hopelessness is very, very high. That's why the young men and women are drunk throughout the day. You find a young mother, she has 2 or 3 kids. She can't even feed herself, leave alone her children. And we need also to allow those that are disappointed with life. They did not get an opportunity to go to high school. Some of them went to high school in the past, did not get an opportunity to go to university. We must deal with that desperation. We must be able to come in as government and say, these children need a good education. How many of you passed and you want to go to university? Create an opportunity for them.
So Sonko is competition for you?
No.
He said, come, baby, come.
No.
When he came here,
Come, baby, come.
Come, baby, come.
Saying come, baby, come. You know, you must also look at what babies you are calling. I'm nobody's baby. I'm nobody's baby. So,
I know you could spend 10 minutes on that one.
No, you cannot call it. What I'm asking the Kenyans to do,
Yes.
I'm asking the Kenyans to give me their vote for senatorship. Allow Mama Nakazi, Margaret Wanjiru, to be Nairobi senator. I'll do a good job for you and you'll be happy. Within 5 years, you'll do like the people of Starehe. You'll be asking me, what's next and who is next? I love you.
Couldn't have said it better. We're live on Citizen. Stay with us.